taster, just like my Eggo waffles. I just want my Eggo waffles. I ain't trying to be aggressive, but people look at me like I'm an old man. I came back from resurrecting, they look at me like I came back from the dead like it's Resident Evil. But they don't even understand that I'm actually more human than you ever can. This is why I'm what you call the ex-human. I'm just different. I'm artistically different. Now, I ain't trying to have sex in no meat shop.
What is up, my archfiends of chaos? It's your king of the night, Vincent Valentine EX Turk, coming back at you with a brand new video. And this is actually something I wanted to actually kind of close the debates on, because there's so many debates about this. Even though Versus 13 has never been a thing at all, it doesn't exist. We're going to be acting like it does exist, because we're going to be comparing both characters from the same game. Noctis, Lucius, Kylium. His variant in Versus 13. Now, Versus 13, his continuity has changed. In Versus 13, he was Lucy, who had the power of the goddess of death, Etro, because his family prayed to Etro, and his powers are still the same with the royal arms. I don't know if they're called anything different. You'll let me know in the comments. But I think it's the royal arm still. Also, I have the sniffles because, you know, it's the season and I did nothing but yard work. But that's besides the point. Back to the thing now, the video right now. But okay, Noctis pretty much has still kind of the same kind of powers, except it comes from the fellowship of the goddess of death, Etro. So pretty much, Lucius Kylium works for the goddess of death. Pretty much. And in this one, Noctis is a villain, so he doesn't get the extended king power like he was supposed to. Because in Versus 13, he's actually a villain. He's one who kills Stella Nox Foray, which is now Luna Freya. And Ravis goes after him to get revenge. But then Stella comes back to face Noctis as the final boss, after Noctis has defeated Arden, Idolus, Verstel, and pretty much the entire Niflheim Empire in that universe. So he stays young. He still stays, he still stays pretty young. He still stays in his 20s, so he does not get the time skip powers he got like he got in Final Fantasy 15. The good news, he don't have to sacrifice his life, but, it's implied that Noctis commits suicide in that world too, because he's killed Stella and started remembering it after, of course, because Versus 13 was a lot darker than 15 was. It was going to be one of the many M-rated Final Fantasy games, but Tabata decided to change it to localize it when it was 15. But nonetheless, the world of Versus Noctis stays young. Even though he has his brothers, he stays young. There is no time skip. That means no Bahamut can give him the powers he needs to have the Ascended King's powers. And not only that, Noctis is pretty much evil. That's why you see him with the red eyes all over. Even though his red eyes doesn't mean that he's summoning. In that universe, he keeps the red eyes after he kills Stella Nox Foray, because in that world, Noctis is evil. Let's just face the truth. I don't want to hear no bullshit comes to, oh, how dare you talk bad about Noctis. Noctis is one of my favorite characters. I like Noctis too. I really do. But we're talking about a different universe Noctis. We're talking about the world of Versus Noctis, versing the Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. Now, because he only stays young and he's evil and he's not pure enough to get the Ascended King's powers, Noctis still stays the way he does. Even though, let's be quite honest, he looked a lot cooler using his royal arms. Looked a lot cooler in Versus 13 when he was taking out all those Niflheim infantry people, infantry guards. He was going. His royal arms looked a lot more badass, especially the fact he used it as a shield and to shoot out more swords. And he looks like he used the Royal Arms a lot more than he did in 15, but I could be very wrong. Now let's talk about Final Fantasy 15. Now, Final Fantasy 15 Noctis has some of the same powers, except his actually comes from the royal bloodline of Lucis. Which, in this continuity, Ardyn is part of that bloodline. So, pretty much, Noctis and Ardyn's family are the reason why they got the royal arms in the first place, because that bloodline are Nephilims by the goddess Eos. They changed it a little bit. It's Eos that pretty much creates the Lucius Caelum by having, relations with a human male. And the human male's probably the Orbenbright clan. That's why I think Ardyn's related to the Orbenbrights as well, and why the Orbenbright's so close to the Lucian bloodline, but in this one, Noctis is powerful, 10 times more powerful, because even if he didn't get his astrals, even if just getting Titan, it gave him a little bit of power boost, and he gets strong, and he just like Cloud, he gets stronger for each battle he partakes in. So, and then while I'm gonna go ahead and use Zenkai Boost in this one, the Zenkai Boost where he stays in a crystal stasis for 10 years to fully meditate and grasp the full power of the true King of Light, but with the sacrifice of his life. Which I guess you could say versus 13, Noctis will win by technicality, because after Noctis gets the job done with those powers, he has to die. But it was only made for one job. Now, for World of 15 Noctis versus 13 Noctis, this would actually work, because then older Noctis would not play around, since he knows he has to give up his life after using this power. He would finish off just with activating the Royal Arms at the full King's power of Kings, the power, the full power, like he did against Ardyn in the final battle. He would be able to easily overpower versus Noctis. He would be able to overpower versus Noctis really easily. The way he took out Ardyn. Ardyn's supposed to be one of the strongest Final Fantasy 15 characters of all time, mostly because of his immortality. And if he took him out, being immortal, and erase Ardyn from existence, something no other Lucius Caelum bloodline member could ever do, then pretty much versus Noctis would be outclassed in every way. Now, to make this fair, so people don't go like, oh, you're so biased. World of versus Noctis is strong and more fiercer because he has evil intent. He pretty much at that point, World of versus Noctis is at least the base power in the beginning, is the base power of Ravis in the beginning. So he starts out stronger than 15 Noctis. But after Noctis gets all the astrals, completes his quests, slumbers for the 10 years, pretty much he goes through mental training for the 10 years Comrade's storyline is active. And 10 years is a pretty long time. That's why Noctis is in his 30s. And he has facial hair and long hair, because he's in his 30s. See, so with that, Noctis triples his strength with all the astrals he has. And then if you collect all the royal arms, and let's just say he collected all the royal arms, pretty much Noctis ascends out of all the Lucius kings. Pretty much at this point, Noctis becomes the Lucius Caelum god. No one's stronger, not even Ardyn is stronger than Future Noctis. Future Noctis became the god. He pretty much becomes a god with that power. He's on par with Bahamut at this point. After Bahamut gave his powers to him, in fact he could even beat Bahamut. He could actually beat Bahamut, Leviathan, Ifrit, Shiva, Titan, all of them at the same time. Noctis Lucius Caelum, even though he dies after using his power, Noctis Lucius Caelum becomes a god. He becomes a god with unlimited, untapped potential. I mean, remember, this is this Noctis defeated Arden, a guy who's meant to be immortal and supposedly one of the strongest Lucius Caelium's traitors, Star Scourge Demon King, and Noctis defeated him with ease the minute he woke his full power of the kings, because it goes to show the power of light is stronger than the power of darkness. Now, versus Noctis is evil, so he pretty much has the power of darkness. You know, as XV Noctis has the full power of the kings because he's pure of heart. It was shown when he was able to wake out of slumber and use his pure of light to wipe the Star Scourge from mankind, even though it was at the cost of his life. Noctis would just only need to do one job and to beat versus Noctis, and all he'd have to do is unlock his true potential. And since versus Noctis is actually, a bad guy, you know, all you do is unlock the full power of the kings, use the power of the light kings, defeat versus Noctis, and send him away for good. And even if versus Noctis was able to use the Ring of Lucii, you know, Noctis would sacrifice himself to make sure every Lucius Caelium's gone, and that would include even different universe ones too, because without the existence of one of the ring, any universe Noctis Lucius Caelium's gone. That way Arden cannot spam. So pretty much just all what Noctis has to do is, and you don't even have to go to the 10 years. Just even after Chapter 6, Noctis is strong enough to take out versus Noctis. Versus Noctis was strong in the beginning, but, you know, he didn't get stronger like the regular Noctis has. So that's why I think Final Fantasy XV Noctis would beat versus Noctis. And may the crystal be with you. And don't forget to buy Comrades. It's a good multiplayer DLC.